Everyone. It's so good to see people. It's a little after it is 1:32, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd like to open the May 11th, 2020 COA board meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. These concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but it is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set, so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Thank you. But we have to go through that just to make sure that everybody understands. It's a little complicated, but everybody will manage, I'm sure. All right, having said that, it's good to see everybody. We're missing a couple of people, but hi there, and hi people that are joining us. And I don't see Nicole, but she's there someplace, so. And I do believe we have a quorum. We're missing 2 board members. Perhaps Patty will join us. She was trying to get in, and perhaps she'll join us as we move along here. And I know Mary had notified me this morning she was unable to participate today. So, and again, as usual, we always remind ourselves that this is an open meeting and we have to adhere to the open meeting rules and regulations. All right. Do board members have any announcements? It's been we did not have a meeting in April. And so there's Patty. Welcome, Patty. There she is. So good. So does anybody, Anley?
Yeah.
You also have if you click it down at somewhere, I can't find it now myself too, you can click on a thing that says raise hand. I can't find the little icon myself at the moment.
It's in participants.
Under participants, that's right. Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome.
Click on participants and then you'll be able to do that, but it's fine. We saw your hand. So go ahead with your announcement.
I just wanted to say that the Baptist Church is giving out meals on Monday evenings between 4:30 and 5:30. So if anybody knows anyone who is in need of food, please send them in our direction.
Great. That's really nice. Nice supporting gesture for the community. So, and I hope people are taking advantage of it. Thank you. Anyone else have an announcement to make? If not, I have one, or perhaps two, maybe. One is that Jamie Cruz of Springdale Farm is starting her senior bag program for that she's done the last few years anyway, maybe 3. I lose track of time myself. And that is, it starts tomorrow, Tuesday, every week. $15, she gives you a bag of food, she says, and worth of, and the program does a lot. Would be good things on Monday night. And see, I know tonight they're going to be talking about the issue of meeting. The only time 6 people and a decision tonight, and I have not seen their agenda, but they are, I do believe.
No.
That's part of the
Okay.
decision, because said, and that's other than that, I do not.
Announcements. Too cooped up.
Okay, reminder will be next. She is us later. They always can raise their hand and let nobody
Minutes be
make a motion or no. It's not a aye or nay. It's just yes or no. So, all right, David. Yes.
Juanita, yes.
Thank you. Ann Lee.
Ann Lee, yes.
Bob.
Bob Stinson, yes.
Susan, yes.
We have approved the minutes. All right. The next item on our agenda is the Friends report. And the Friends held a meeting in April 2nd, I believe it was. And they did it via, they do not have to adhere to the town rules, you know, for meetings because they're a private group. And they did it over email in the computer. They have minutes, but they have not been approved yet. So I'm suggesting that we are, you know, just informing you that we're going to postpone accepting any or reviewing any minutes and including that Friends report. I do believe that is Nancy or Barbara from McCray perhaps might be here, and maybe they could update us a little bit on anything that's going on.
Nancy is here.
I just elevated Nancy to a panelist.
Nancy's coming on now.
Thank you kindly. Nancy?
Yes,
Hi there. Can't see your face, but we can hear you.
I can see your face. You all look so pretty.
Oh.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, David and Bob like that.
Oh, I believe that the minutes were approved, but individuals sent emails to each other saying it was good or bad. You know, I believe the minutes have been approved, but I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay. Well, it's your call. I mean, you know, certainly. Do you have any information about anything that's happening? If
No.
anything is happening? No?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
Our goal is to set up meetings again, of course, next month, but we want to set dates and programs, lunch programs for the seniors once they start getting out of the house. That's
Okay.
a big one. That's a major one. And we're going to need the stadium in Boston to accomplish it, to get everyone.
Well, I think that's, yeah. It'll be, my guess is perhaps that maybe the first thing that might happen would be small gatherings of a few people, but It just seems as though it's going to be quite a while before a large gathering of people can occur anywhere. So,
Anywhere.
yeah, safety is, and everyone's health is, of course, the priority. And we all know that, so.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you. Nice to
I'm gonna-
hear from you.
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. All right, and just a quick update, we kept on the agenda the visibility of the COA. Obviously, things have changed immensely. And Nicole, I should have perhaps in the very beginning, if I may ask for forgiveness, but perhaps I should have backtracked and reinforced for everyone and maybe helped share the information that Nicole is our acting director of Elder and Human Services now.
Yay.
Thank you.
And we certainly welcome her. We're excited about having been given the opportunity to work with her in the interim while we're searching for a new director. And it's possible, I guess, that some of our seniors that might be watching aren't even aware of the fact that Liz Tretiak resigned and has moved on to another position closer to her home. So we are without a permanent director right now, but Nicole's doing a great job filling the seat of Liz, so to speak. But, so in the visibility issue, we had talked so much and we were moving along so well with Anita and Susan running a program, doing a LCTV program and getting it off the ground, and that's all been kind of put on hold for the moment, right, ladies?
Right.
Yep. And I think perhaps maybe we should be thinking about when we can get back to things, and who knows when that will ever be. The norm will be back. So, but if you have, I wanted to encourage board members to think about that because things are changing, times have changed. And you may have ideas about visibility of the COA with this new lifestyle that we have. I'm sure there are ways that we can get information out and we can encourage and keep the COA in the limelight, so to speak. So please put your thinking caps on. And if anyone has any thoughts about that, I would encourage you to send an email and alert Nicole and I anyway, or, talk amongst yourself. It is a whole new way of thinking of things, I think. So. Does anybody have anything they would like to add to that whole thought, that idea, or the whole issue of visibility of the COA? Any comments? Any light bulbs come on?
Talkative bunch today.
Not too talkative. Okay, that's all right. It's a whole new situation for us all. So, all right, moving on then to the next item on the agenda, and that is the working group for the senior center. And I think it goes without saying, people should make the assumption that that has been put on hold too. There has not been meetings in that regard. There's just been so much going on that had to require the attention, and priorities had to be set. However, having said that, I know that there is an effort to try to continue to, we left off at the point where the architects were going to be looking at Indian Hill, and that was the latest thing that had come up that I'm aware of. And I know that in watching the selectmen's meeting, when they were talking about the budget, etc., there was an effort to try to not lose that and have it be, pushed too far back, and to keep that piece moving ahead as much as possible. So I personally was encouraged to know that and to realize that.
Is the
Alright.
town moving forward at all? I know the working group was not, but are the selectmen doing anything at this point?
At this point, as far as I do not, I'm not aware of anything. I know that they were talking, as far as the budget goes, of making sure there was trying because the budget there's a big issue about budget for fiscal year 21. They were trying to make sure that the money was there to allow, to be able to pay the architects to continue on. So that's something rather than having it just go by the wayside for a while. So everything's in limbo, quite frankly, it seems, because the powers that be do not know the impact that this has had on funding from the state and monies that may be coming in. And every town is in that situation, as I understand it, from listening to the selectmen at their meetings. So it's quite a challenge even to kind of project what kind of a budget is needed, in the whole fiscal situation. So, but nothing has concrete has happened, Bob, to answer your question.
Rest of the day.
Excuse me, do we have someone who would like to say something?
For Mother's Day.
Is that Nancy Levine?
Nancy Levine, what?
Nancy,
talking to
your
somebody
microphone
else,
is not
Nancy, not
muted,
us,
so
right?
whoever you're
I-
talking to is
You're
coming.
right, you one person talking at a time, please.
But I thought I shut it off. How do I shut it off, Kirby?
I'd be happy to take care of that right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and an update on the search for a new director. Board members, and for the benefit of the people that are watching the program and watching our meeting, the board members were sent an email reminding them of the procedure that is used when we are searching for a director for the Elder and Human Services Department. And the selectmen have authorized the COA board to have 3 board members participating on the search committee for a new director. The town did advertise the position back early in April. It was open for several weeks and closed April 25th. And the process in the search committee work under the direction of Ann Essman, who is our personnel director. And that process is moving ahead. She has the applicants, the people that did apply for the position, and Ann is in the process of getting the group organized, the search committee organized, to begin meeting this week sometime. The first meeting is an open meeting and it would be posted, and I'm thinking I almost am 100% sure it should be posted today for a meeting this Wednesday. But people need to pay attention to that. The 3 people from the COA board who are serving on the search committee are myself, Patty Hunt, and Susan Melander. And I requested from board members information, if they were interested in this, to give me some information about why they felt that it would be a good thing for them to be doing, etc. And we ended up with the 3 people I just mentioned representing the board. So the board has excellent representation, and not to say that I'm great particularly, but I think that, we should have good representation in the search. So, and do either one of you, Susan or Patty, do you wish to add any comments about that? Search.
I think it's, having participated in the last process, hiring Liz, it's a process that's really detailed. And we had an excellent director who just left us, unfortunately too soon. So we really want to give a lot of thought to our next appointee that hopefully stays a little longer than Liz did. but I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. Having done hiring and unfortunately firing in the past. But over the last process, we had a lot of input from the board. So we may look for input from the board again through emails. So I would just recommend be prepared in case we send you some emails for questions.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, Susan?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the search committee too. As a new member on the board, I'm quite honored to have been chosen for that. I have served on other search committees and when I was on the school committee and then certainly as a teacher. So definitely looking forward to it. And as Patty said, hoping to find somebody who will fit what we're looking for and hopefully keep for a long time.
Thank you. It's
Marge, who else makes up the board, the committee?
the town administrator. I'm trying to think.
I think Joe, assistant town
And
administrator.
Joe, I think so too. I think you're right. Thank you. Joe Layton, our assistant town minister, and Nina, both are on it. And as far as, and the three of us, I think that's about it.
I think that-
Ann Esman is a non-voting member, but she provides all the leadership and the guidance. To
Is
the-
none of the selectmen are on it?
Excuse me, Bob?
None of the selectmen are on it?
No. No. So it is a working group, and from past experience, I served on the last search committee also, and it's a very thorough process, in my opinion. I'm sure it hasn't been changed that much, but it is a very, very thorough, and Ann does a great job guiding and directing everyone. So. And so that is about to be starting, just so you're all aware, everyone's aware of that. Of course, a lot of it is confidential as time goes along, but some of it is not, so. But we'll keep you updated for sure. Any other comments on that? Any other thoughts on that? Okay. Then moving right along, and this is what really the reason we needed to have a meeting this month. As you may recall, last year, right around this time, we, I think actually it was this meeting, and today, unless we change our rules and regulations, the way that our rules and regulations read right now, they are that I would appoint a nominating committee of 3 people to come up with a slate of officers to be presented at the June meeting. And there was some discussion last year and some people felt very uncomfortable with the nominating committee. I did not forget that. We had that discussion and we did not make any changes. However, I started to ask around this year, about a month or 2 ago, as to how other boards in town managed appointing officers every year to their boards. And I gained some information from both Anita, and actually from 2 of our board members who have had experience on other boards. So I asked them to share their experience with us. And I'm asking the board to think about whether we want to continue with the nominating committee or we would wish to change our rules and regs and do it in a different manner. So with that in mind, either David or Anita, and both of you, actually, I would welcome your input and your thoughts about this and your comments and from your experience. And then we can have a discussion, hopefully, about this.
Ladies first.
Well, as chairman of the personnel board for 2 terms now, the way we do it, we normally wait until town elections have taken place. And then at the very next meeting after town elections, we would open the meeting and I would start with, are there any nominations for chair? And the board would say whoever, and then is there any other nominations? And if there are 2 or 3, then there's a discussion, and each person who's been nominated is asked if they want to be part of the election. And if they say yes, then there is a vote right then and there that day at the meeting. And then we go to the vice chair, and then we have a clerk secretary that we also vote for. But it's done in an open meeting right then and there. There is no nominating committee. It's just a board member will nominate someone and there's a discussion and then there's a vote. And that's been like that since, I can't even tell you how long ago that's been like that. So that's how the personnel board does it.
Do any
Okay.
board members have any questions for Anita about that?
If this were the case, everyone would go with where the whole process would happen at the June meeting.
That's correct.
True, yeah.
Is
Ainley?
the voting done by ballot or by hand?
It's just A or nay. Like if, say, last year at this time, I was nominated to be chair again. And I could say, yes, I'm okay with that. You can vote if you want, or I could have said, no, I think someone else should take over my place, and then I could nominate somebody. So then there are 2 nominations, and then the board gets to vote on whomever they choose. But it's done open. It's not by ballot or anything.
We can't have paper ballots, I don't believe, anyway, so.
Sure we could, but anyway, let me just add to that. It seems as library trustee in the 7 or 8 elections that we have it every year, and it's not necessarily, it's around this time of year, but I don't know if we wait till after the town elections or not, but actually, the COA board is appointed and trustees are elected, so it may be that we do wait till after in case there's somebody running for that board. But usually, it's hard to get anybody to want to do anything. So usually there's only one person that wants to be chairman. Okay. And usually only one person to be vice chair. So it's not like we get more than one nomination. So I would have to say that our process is about the same as the personnel board. Okay. And the only thing I would add is if somebody stood down as chairman, just said, I don't want to do it anymore, and more than one person would get nominated. If one person got nominated, we just vote and then go on to a vote of vice chairman, just like Anita said. And the only thing I would add is if 2 people were nominated to be chairman, I might ask for a paper ballot. And I don't think there's no harm in a paper ballot.
Okay.
All it does is, the people in the room are voting and they just get to vote anonymously, but they're voting regardless. So I don't see anything wrong with that. But that's the only thing I would add to Anita's. It's essentially the same, and it all happens in one meeting.
And I would add to what David said. Normally, nobody wants to be chair. So if you happen to be chair, you get chair every year unless you say, I am stepping down and I do not want to do it, and someone else will have to take over, and then someone else is nominated. But David's right. Nobody wants to be any officer on any board. They just like to participate. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a paper ballot if you have more than one running for the same
Okay.
chair, the same officer.
But
But
it makes it pretty simple.
It does.
Pretty simple.
In actuality, Bob, you've been on the board for a while, and it seems to me that I recall when I first joined, it was my first meeting was maybe it was in June, but I recall that it was done just in that fashion. It was, you know, you have the meeting and you people get nominated and you vote, and that's what it was. And it eliminated that whole uncomfortable feeling, I think, for the nominating committee. I think that was incorporated perhaps when we did not have rules and regulations written for this board when I joined the board. And I know that we searched and we got samples of rules and regulations from other COA boards in the state. And if I'm not mistaken, when, I don't know if any of you were around when Bob was, when we actually developed the rules and regulations and put them and voted them in place. So I think that may be where we got the nominating committee concept. I'm not sure. So do you remember, Bob?
Well, the only thing I would say is that the nominating committee's purpose was just to, before the presentation of who might be nominated, to have a group check with people to see whether they were interested and get that out of the way so that they could come in with a group, one for the chair and one for the vice chair at this point. And when it was presented as a report, and then any other nominations were invited. So it was not a matter of locking it into those people who were nominated, but it was just giving people a chance to say no off, outside in the nominating committee process. I don't think it's necessarily particularly, I think we could do exactly what David and Anita was saying, and deal with it in one meeting and be done with it.
I will say that on the personnel board, there is an employee representative and there is a department head representative, and those elections are done a little differently. They like we're doing the department head one now to replace Liz, and what happened is all department heads were notified that there was an opening because Liz had left. And they had the opportunity to say, I'd like to do it, or another department head could nominate somebody. And at the end of that, there were 2 nominations, 2 people who wanted to do it. So the stage now is that those 2 people were contacted to make sure that when they sent their email in and said they wanted to do what they really did, and they both said yes. So now the ballot went out today with both names on it, and the department heads will vote for one of them.
So that's a different situation though.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was set up differently in the bylaws, so we have to follow that.
Right. But that's understandable for, your board's functions differently and has different responsibilities.
We're not working with to bring board members on. All we're working with is to provide leadership for the board itself, from within the board.
Right.
Maureen?
So I just have one question. In light of what Anita and David have both said, are you and Patty still interested in maintaining your positions?
Point of order, we're not discussing that right now.
No, we're not.
No, it's just a question.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we're not discussing, we're discussing whether we want to change our rules and regulations and the procedure that we use to find that information out right now. So, is that what you were going to say, David?
No, what I was going to do is I was going to read the rule about nominating committee.
Go ahead.
And, okay, this is section 5.4.1. The nominating committee shall consist of 3 members who are appointed by the chairman at the May meeting. The nominating committee shall accept nominations for all officer positions and preside over the election. That's all it says. And
Right.
to me, it's pretty ambiguous. It doesn't really say what we're supposed to do. And actually what what I was told we were supposed to do last year upset me so much, I promised I'd never be on a nominating committee again, because it just didn't seem right. So, you know, if we can change it, I don't see anything. There's almost nothing there to follow.
I agree with you. I read that this morning, and it doesn't make sense to me that there has to be a lot more detail in there if you're going to have a whole nominating committee and what their responsibilities are, and it would have to be spelled out more than it is.
Right.
I tend
That's
to agree
just
with
my
you.
opinion.
Well, that tends to be my opinion also in a sense, because it is not very clear. It's not well written, I don't think. So, and that's the crux of what we're trying to discuss today, so that we know how to proceed, Maureen. So just to make you feel, you can answer that question later, once we figure this out, I think, so.
So the purpose,
Yes, Patty?
the purpose of this conversation is to determine whether to eliminate in the manual the nomination topic.
Right,
That's
5-4.
correct.
Okay. And then we can go and address Maureen's conversation.
Well, actually, if we delete that section now, we have to come up with another way to
Right.
nominate officers.
Right.
Okay, so we have to replace it with a little bit better language.
Well, if you notice, David, it says, did you read this? I don't know. Section 5.4, it says, the annual meeting of the members of the council shall be held on the second Monday in June for the purpose of electing officers as proposed by the nominating committee.
Right.
So, and then we would have to change that statement to say, something to the effect of the second Monday in June for the purpose of electing officers,
Period.
period, right? And then we could put in 5.4.1 under that, just saying board members, something to the effect of board members may nominate, we could work
You
out.
don't even need to do that,
I don't think you need to do that. End it right where you did.
Okay,
because it says on 5.4, for the purpose of electing officers. So you're going to do that by the
That's
new
true.
process.
Right.
okay.
So, raise my hand.
Yeah, okay, David, go.
I would make a motion that we delete section 5.4.1 from our rules and regulations.
And the last,
And also in section 5.4, remove the phrase as proposed by the nominating committee so that it would read, the annual meeting of members of the council shall be held on the second Monday in June for the purpose of electing officers.
Period.
Period, and then delete section 5.4.1 totally.
Correct. If
Okay.
you want that in two separate motions, I'll make it in two, or we could just do it in one, because I just did that.
one motion is fine.
You
Okay.
just made it one motion, I think, yes.
Yeah, I did.
All right,
Second.
yes, Susan, we have
I second
additional
that.
discussion, pardon me?
She seconded.
I second it.
Oh, thank you. All right, is there any other discussion on this?
Only, were we supposed to identify ourselves as having made that motion?
Oh, sorry.
No, but you do have to do a roll call vote.
Right, the vote
Okay.
is when you have to identify yourself. David made the motion. I will clarify though for Sue, who does our minutes. David Sill made the motion. And made the motion to delete as proposed by the nominating committee in section 5.4 of our rules and regs, and totally delete section 5.4.1 in our rules and regulations. He made that motion. Susan Melander seconded it. Any other discussion?
I have one question.
Yes, Patty?
David had originally said that if there were multiple nominations, that he would use a paper ballot.
Just to make it more comfortable for people who are in the room voting.
Well, I object to that because
Okay.
this is an open meeting, and I think if we should be able to make an open decision to the public.
I agree with Patty.
that's my concern because it is an
That's
open
fine.
meeting. So,
That's fine.
but we haven't written, we're not proposing even writing that anyplace at this point. So that's not part of this motion.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Any discussion about the motion that is on the floor? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Let's start with David,
David Silva votes yes.
Maureen,
I vote yes.
Maureen, name,
Maureen Donnelly, yes.
thank you. Anita,
Anita Harding, yes.
thank you. Ann Lee,
Annalee Ellis, yes.
Bob,
Bob Stetson, yes.
Susan,
Susan Melander, yes.
and Mary Patty Hunt.
Mary Patty Hunt, yes.
Thank you. And I will vote yes too. Marge Payne, yes. So I forgot to vote the last time. I'm too preoccupied, I think. So we have a unanimous vote. Thank you all. Then we will revise the rules and regs. And that means we do not have to appoint a nominating committee today for our meeting next month. However, I would like to revisit Maureen's comment or question that she asked earlier. So, in my mind, this means that, as we meet in June, and we do need to meet in June to, elect officers, I think it was done in June because the board changes membership. Often, usually June is the last meeting if some people are not returning to the board or, whatever. So that's, I think probably, I don't know why June was ever chosen, but it's been that way ever since I've been on the board, quite frankly. So, so Maureen, to go back to your question or earlier, do you want to re-ask it or?
So from what I understood Anita to say, people would just nominate at the June meeting, person A for chair. So I guess in my thought of thinking who we would nominate, it would be nice for us as a board to know whether you and Patty were still interested in maintaining the chairs that you have.
Irrelevant at this point.
It is irrelevant, it really, right now, as far as this meeting goes, I think, because that's the question you would ask at the June meeting. If I'm understanding what Bob's saying, which is my thinking, you would just ask that question at the June meeting or nominate. And then as Anita said, you as Maureen at the June meeting could say, I'd like to nominate Marge Payne. And if Marge Payne says, I am not interested in being the chair, so be it. That's, the comment would be made. Is that what you were saying, Anita? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes,
Yeah.
you would, Maureen would nominate Marge as chair, and Marge would say, I'm not interested, or I am interested. And then the next question from the existing chair would be, are there any more nominations for chair? And David could nominate Sue.
Yep.
And Sue could say, I'm not interested in it. And then you've got one person, and you go back to Marge and say, Marge, are you interested? And if you said yes, the vote of the board would be to reappoint you. And if you said no, then you would have to go to Sue and say, are you sure you don't want it? And if she said, I'm sure, then they'd go to Ann and say, I nominate Ann. So
Okay.
that's how it works.
Yep. It's usually just twisting somebody's arm to get them to do it.
Right, or sitting hard on them, one or the other.
Well, we're very fortunate in this board in that we do not have to worry about the secretary's position and that we have somebody who is doing our minutes for us. And so that is a huge thing as far as board members thinking about the whole issue of officers, because we only have to fill 2 positions. So,
Yeah.
Yes, David.
Well, that's actually what it reads in the charter. There are only 2. There's no secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's been removed already.
Yeah.
So we're a lucky board in that way. And I'm just saying, that we don't have a lot of positions that have to be filled. So we're very fortunate. So that's a good thing, I think.
And I think in the personnel board, we do have a secretary clerk who is also a member. And it makes it very difficult in a meeting for the secretary to take an active role in speaking he or her concerns, because you're so busy trying to take notes and catch up on everything. You don't have the ability to step in and say, whatever you want to say.
Right.
So I think we are lucky not to have someone like that. I wish we could do the same, because our board is very important and Jean does an excellent job of the minutes, but it's difficult for her to have time to participate as well.
Here, here.
Having been secretary for years, I have my own opinion on this, but let's move on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was, that we needed to clarify that if we wanted to, so that we knew what we were doing today in preparation for our June meeting. So thank you very much. All right. So we're moving on to the reports. Nicole, we're not going to let you take a little break anymore. In your package, you did have a brief summary done by Nicole of what's been going on, and times have changed, so it's been a little bit different, but she's done a great job, I think, in sharing and catching us up to date. So go for it, Nicole.
Okay. So we have a list of high-risk residents that are being checked up on twice a week via telephone or email. Amy's calling them. Right now we have 18 high-risk residents, but we're adding new people to the list as needed. We started doing no contact food pantry deliveries. We had been getting a lot of calls from people who needed to get to the pantry, needed food, but were unable to get there or didn't feel comfortable going. So we are running our van once a week. The van drivers have been amazing in volunteering to do this. And so they're going once a week. Last week, they delivered 49 bags of groceries.
Wow.
So people can call me to sign up. The deliveries are every Friday afternoon. So that's been huge. And the Rotary Club is providing bag lunches to residents. People can sign up with Amy. We're doing some virtual support groups. Social anxiety, living alone, and caregiver support group are all being offered virtually. Carrie's line dancing is on LCTV and it's online. Loving Stitches is meeting every Monday. And we worked with Park and Rec and the Conservation Commission to create, if you go to the town website, you'll see on the front page, Community Connections. And if you click on it, it's a bunch of activities, exercise, all kinds of stuff on there. There's different hikes from the Conservation Commission that people can do either at home or while being socially distant. Some of them are free, some of them there is a charge, but you can kind of check it out. We're adding new stuff there all the time so people can still stay connected. And the William James Interface, which is a mental health resource and referral website, it's still available to Littleton residents. It's free. You can sign on. You can search for any kind of specialty provider. You can search by location, by specialty, by insurance. It's a really great resource that people should take advantage of because it's free if you live in Littleton. And our rental assistance program is still going on. We're accepting new applications. If anyone knows of anyone, the application is on our website.
Thank you.
Nicole, I had a question. The 49 bags of groceries, is that from the loaves and fishes?
Yep, so we started doing loaves and fishes. When they closed, we were able to use the Acton Food Pantry. They were really, really good to us. But now that Loaves and Fishes is open again, we're going back there.
If there is a need, the St. Vincent de Paul, we gathered quite a bit of food and we were waiting for people to call and ask us for food. So if you run low, please give me a call and we have food available.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Thank you.
And they will,
biggest-
we will deliver. If we know somebody who is in need of food, we will deliver.
That's great. Thank you.
And we're there to help out, you know, with any assistance. St. Vincent's phone line has been very, very slow and very,
Really?
very quiet. We've only, in the whole 3 months, we've had 2 calls.
Really?
So
Wow.
we don't understand what's going on. We're having a meeting tonight.
Yeah.
And so if you know people who need help, both of them were rental assistants and both of them were sent to us by Amy.
Mhm. I was going to say, I know she sent a few people, but
She did.
oh, good.
And
That's
then-
interesting since we've had, what, about 30 people, Annalee, at the church on Mondays?
Yeah, we're serving about 30 every Monday night. And it's been wonderful and new people come every week. I was also going to say that at Shaker Lane Elementary School, there is a food bank there also that you can go down to and just take whatever you need.
Yes.
That's great, great news. And that's great, Ann Lee, that you're getting a good turnout. 30 people, yeah, that's amazing, really. And I know that I think neighborhood supper too, people can call or not, it's not neighborhood supper, but people can call the Congregational Church and they are
Food
here.
is love.
Pardon me?
The food is love.
It's either love is food or food is love. And
Food
they
is
do
love.
make the meals that are frozen and you can contact the COL office. And if they have stuff that's in the freezer, they will provide it to you.
Wow. So that's great news. And thanks for sharing that so people, hear about it.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if
sir.
Anita's looking for folks or ways to volunteer, Loaves and Fishes is still looking for volunteers to ramp up from folks who do not want to come are concerned about social distancing, and they have a lot of opportunities that allow for social distancing. So, if you're interested, please contact the volunteer coordinator because they make certain you're safe and the food is still flowing out the door.
Thank you, Kirby.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
David?
Other comments about things that are happening in town, basically. So, and that's great input. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
We generated a lot of good discussion too, and gained some information here. So, I have a question for you, board members. I asked Nicole if she could summarize the Excel spreadsheet that she completes every month that I'm sure you all had trouble printing if you wanted to print it. It has to be printed on legal size paper to be able to really read it. And you usually get it in your packets at the board meeting. So I don't know whether she can, quickly just kind of verbally summarize the data, or do you have you might have questions for her about that when we get into the Outreach Coordinator's monthly report. Just wanted to kind of preface that whole piece of things, because I anticipated that could be a problem for board members. So, all right, are we done with the director's report? Are there any questions for Nicole? We don't get to see her either. So, although You are in the building, aren't you, once a week or so? You and Amy ever there?
No, Amy is there. She gets there when she can, probably once, sometimes twice a week.
Yeah,
I have not been there.
you have not. Okay.
No.
It's hard to know. I knew that Amy was, I guess maybe it was Amy. I knew it was going in
Yeah.
occasionally. Yeah. Yeah.
And Sue too. Sue too.
Yeah. And Sue is in there.
Mhm.
And Sue's watching, I think, or she will be watching anyway.
She will be.
Yes. So, okay, so then moving on, if there's no further questions, for Nicole. Nicole's going to be doing the outreach coordinators report though too, and catch us up to date a little bit on that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I sent it out and so this is for the month of March. So for a little less than half of the month, we still had things going on, but you'll see that there's a big drop in numbers because we weren't seeing people, we weren't having drop-ins. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay,
You're back.
sorry.
You're back. Yeah, we could
Sorry.
hear you. Your face froze, but we could hear
Great
you.
time to freeze. So you'll see a drop in the numbers, but you should also see an increase in general information. That's where we're logging all of our high risk phone calls. So when we have a phone call that's just a check in and there's no follow up needed after the phone call, it's going into general. If there's follow up, then it gets logged somewhere else more specific. So you'll notice that the numbers are down, obviously, but you'll see that general information is going up because we're making a lot of phone calls. This month, Amy has been insanely busy with phone calls and emails, following up with people, financial support, food shopping support. And she's started doing a little bit of medical equipment when she feels that it's safe to provide the equipment to people. But so I think the numbers next month will be a lot more. But does anyone have any questions? I don't know how to really explain the whole thing. But I mean, numbers are down. We get a ton of walk-ins when we're in the office. So just by not being there and not having people coming in or being in the building, the numbers go down. And since we're not having any of our classes or activities, things are going down there as well.
But you check the phones every day, don't you? 2 or 3
Oh,
frequently?
yeah, Sue's checking the phones every day, the main line. Amy and I are checking our voicemail every day. I mean, we're here, we're working every day. And like I said, this month, I think for the first month in March, like I said, it was like a little more than half a month that we were closed. And so people were okay. They didn't really need us. Now this month, we're getting a lot more calls. The stats for next month will be a lot different.
I'm sure as time goes on, the need become, and people are gaining more information and kind of absorbing the change a little. I guess that's
Right.
the best way to say it, yeah. So,
Right.
I'm not surprised at that personally. So. All right. I have a question for Maureen before we adjourn, but I'd like to entertain or accept a motion to accept the director and outreach coordinators reports.
So moved, Bob Stetson.
Seconded, David Sill.
Thank you, and thank you for identifying yourselves. Thank you. So we have a motion to accept the director's report and the outreach coordinators report. And it has been seconded. We'll do a roll call vote on that and start with David.
David Sill, yes.
Thank you. David Sill. Maureen?
Maureen Donnelly, yes.
Anita?
Anita Harding, yes.
Ann Lee?
Hanley Ellis, yes.
Bob?
Bob Stetson, yes.
Susan?
Susan Melander, yes.
Patty?
Patty Hunch, yes.
And Marge Payne, yes. All right, thank you. My question to you, Maureen, is, if you don't mind, board, it's just a quick one. I'm just curious, is anything going on? I didn't put it on the agenda, but if you have any information from the Affordable Housing Trust, can you update us on that?
The Affordable Housing Trust did meet last month. via Zoom. And Bartlett appropriated, I believe, $50,000 for emergency housing assistance. And they were going to use a more streamlined application form. And if people applied, then we would be able to assist people with housing monies.
Oh, okay, good. That's good to know. Who, did you say Bartlett?
Bartlett Harvey is the chair.
Oh, okay, thank you. Great. I realized I had excluded that and I didn't mean to, but it's good to keep up with what's going on. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have any other inquiries? I don't see anyone raising their hand over here. Or otherwise, oh, Bob, you're not going to use your computer. It's worked out well with you literally raising your hands. You're supposed to use the little raise your hand cue here, but anyway, it's working out. So go ahead, Bob.
Okay. After lo these many decades, I have informed the town clerk that I will not be up for re-election to the board for another term. So there will be an opening on the board, and as the process moves on, people will be recommend and urge people to apply for that position as a board member. And I sincerely hope that the board members would look around them and see if there is someone who they feel would be an asset to this board, which is right now a pretty wonderful board. And hopefully we will be strong at 9 again very quickly and doing the work that has been such a joy for me for the last 20 or so years.
Well, thank you, Bob, for letting people know that. Go ahead, Maureen. Oh, she's got her mouth full. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yes?
I was just saying, thank you for your service.
Yes, and
Yes,
thank you.
thank you, Bob.
Going to say the same. You will be at our June meeting though, won't you? Bob, you
Excuse
will
me?
be at the June meeting.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, so. But you have certainly
Mike?
served the town well, I would have to say. So. All right, is there any other business to come before the board? Oh, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. at
So moved, Rob
2:38.
Stetson.
Bob Stetson has made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Maureen Darling has seconded the motion. And we go through one more roll call vote today, and that's it, folks. David,
David still votes yes.
Maureen,
Maureen Donnelly votes yes.
Anita,
Happy
Anita
birthday,
Hardy
Maureen.
votes yes.
Ann Lee,
Ann Lee Ellis votes yes.
Bob,
Bob Stetson votes yes.
Susan,
Susan Melander votes yes.
Patty.
Last but not least, Patty Hunts votes yes.
Thank you. And Marge Payne votes yes. So, oh, all right. We are adjourned. And thank you all so very much. Everyone did great. Once we got online, we had a few problems there, but it was